In the near future, the US government releases a chemical attack on the whole country as a way to reset society. This wipes out millions of people in just a couple of minutes. Afterward, the government does nothing to keep society in order, so survivors have two options. They can join one of the gangs that control the territory and are constantly fighting, or be a domestic, which means they just want to live in peace. A few months after the attack, domestic couple Mark and Nina are loading their car because they will travel to Milwaukee to find Nina's parents. Mark's friend warns him of the dangers on the road, but Mark insists he must go to support Nina because he still loves her even though they were considering a divorce before the attack. During the trip they listen to a radio host who reminds domestics to stay away from the freeways, keep an eye out for snipers, and take down anyone dressed like a ghost because they are part of the Sheets gang. Sometime later the car starts to malfunction, so they stop at an abandoned garage. While Mark is working on the vehicle, three men enter the shop. They do not see the couple in the other room, so Mark very carefully moves to get back in his car. Suddenly a truck bursts into the shop and the drivers of the Sheets gang open fire to take out the three men. It takes Mark a few tries to start the car and the noise gets the Sheets' attention, but luckily the vehicle finally gets going and the couple drives away right before the Sheets can hurt them. On the radio, they learn that the Sheets are in a turf war with the Nailers. Late in the afternoon, they decide to stop at an abandoned house to spend the night. Nina searches for supplies while Mark checks every room just in case, eventually finding a couple that had passed away in the bedroom. The marks on the walls show they were attacked and badly harmed before their end, so Mark covers the remains as a last respectful gesture. Then Nina tries to contact her mom using an old radio, but nobody answers. That night Mark updates his map before going to sleep with Nina, unaware that a man outside is watching them. The next morning the man and his friend are roughed up by a group of Nailers, who threaten to take them out with a chainsaw if they do not tell them where to find a woman. The terrified man tells them where to find Nina, but he and his friend are taken down anyway. Moments later the couple hears the Nailers approaching the house on their bikes, so Nina runs to hide in the attic and puts on headphones to avoid hearing what is about to happen. When the Nailers enter the house and start searching the rooms, Mark sneaks around with a screwdriver and quickly takes out an intruder by striking his head from behind. Then he tackles Nailer Dean to the ground and fights him until he manages to strike him in the stomach and an eye to take him out too. Afterward the couple leaves in the car, not noticing someone is watching them. During the trip, they hear on the radio that a person from the Cherry gang is out on the streets rescuing women and taking out anyone who gets in her way. When the couple finds a supermarket, they stop to get supplies only to be found by an armed man. Their fear does not last long though, because Nathan takes off his mask and shakes Mark's hand, explaining he was the one watching them to be sure they are friendly. The conversation is interrupted when they hear a car approaching, so the trio runs to hide behind the shelves while the Nailers enter the store to look for Nina. The men barely take a few steps before they are all taken down by Nathan's son Steven, who has been hiding behind a counter all along. Afterward Nathan convinces the couple to join his family for dinner and they leave in his tow truck, which is dragging Mark's car. When they are about to exit the parking lot, they are blocked by a gang known as the Plowboys. The leader Jim says they are just patrolling the neighborhood because they heard the Gamblers gang is around. There is a woman called Betsy held captive in the Gamblers truck and Jim reveals she is the Cherry mentioned on the radio, yet he is already taking an interest in Nina. Steven gets his weapon ready to act if necessary, but Nathan has a good relationship with Jim and convinces him to open the road so his group can leave. They do not notice they are being watched by Dean, who is still alive after all. Later Nina and Mark have dinner with Nathan, his wife, and his two kids. The tension between Nina and Mark while they talk about their life is pretty clear, but Nathan and his wife are affectionate and even dance together. After dinner, Nathan tells Mark the hamburgers they have eaten were made with human flesh. Feeling sick, Mark asks Nathan not to tell Nina the truth and announces they are leaving. However, Nathan forces him to stay with a serious threat. Suddenly Dean enters the house using Nathan's daughter as a shield. He asks for Nina and Mark, and Nathan agrees to hand them over in exchange for his daughter without hesitation. As Dean pushes the girl forward, Steven sneaks around to strike Dean's ankles, causing him to fall and fire his weapon. Nathan's wife is taken down as Mark drags Nina away. Then Steven jumps on Dean and keeps striking him repeatedly while Dean reaches for his weapon. Outside, the couple hears a few rounds fired before taking Nathan's car to escape. Once they are back on the road, Nina says she does not want to travel with Mark anymore and the couple gets into an argument about the situation. The Gamblers see them coming and spin a wheel, which lands on a skull. This means the sniper must open fire. The round hits Nina in the shoulder, so Mark immediately turns the car around to return to town. Meanwhile Nathan calls Jim to tell him he can have the couple. Jim gets excited and goes looking for his men, only to find them all taken down. Suddenly Betsy hits him from behind with a pipe to knock him out, then she frees all the women the gang had captured. After taking some weapons from a table, Betsy leaves in a police car. Moments later, she gets annoyed by the noises coming from Jim in the trunk, so she stops the car and strikes him in the leg. At that moment she notices something moving in the forest and goes after it, forgetting her keys in the trunk lock. The next morning Nina wakes up inside a cabin with a bandage on her shoulder. Mark is not around, but he left a note saying he went looking for food. When Nina tries to leave the building, she finds another note saying the front door is booby-trapped, so she goes out the window instead. She looks around and finds a car in the garage, so she rushes back inside to pack her bag intending to leave on her own. At that moment she finds a note telling her to listen to music, and one more note indicating which record has her favorite song. On the final note, Mark apologizes and begs her not to give up on their marriage. Feeling guilty, Nina does not leave and instead stays in the cabin to dance to her favorite music while drinking a lot. Betsy watches her dance until Nina takes a break, then Betsy returns to the car and finally takes care of Jim for good. In the meantime Mark enters an abandoned house and finds two people with bags on their heads. When he removes them, he is shocked to see Nathan and Steven. Suddenly a wild man called William appears behind him with a weapon and makes Mark drop his. William explains he loves extreme roughhousing and brings out his helper Bill the Big. Bill and Mark must fight until one of them cannot continue, and if Mark refuses to participate, William will take out Nathan and Steven. Mark gets ready and kicks Bill in the groin, but his fist gets blocked and Bill strikes him with such strength that Mark falls. Then Bill throws Mark around, kicks him in the stomach, and raises him by the neck to choke him. While William enjoys the show, Mark headbutts Bill to make him drop him, but Bill quickly grabs him again and throws him against the furniture. Next Bill tries breaking Mark's neck and Mark bites his arm, so Bill throws him at William. Now Mark can fight William for the weapon and in the struggle it accidentally goes off, which takes William out. Afterward Mark frees Nathan, Steven, and even Bill, and they all go their separate ways. When Mark arrives at the cabin, he finds Nina sleeping on the couch and takes her to bed. Later Nina wakes up and notices Mark practicing his aim. She asks him to teach her how to handle a weapon and while they are busy, Betsy sneaks into the cabin and finds Nina's wedding ring. After practice, Nina takes Mark to the garage to show him the car she found and Mark gets nostalgic because he used to have the same model. Remembering the good old days, the couple gets close and cozy in the back seat. At that moment the gamblers show up because this is their car. They immediately capture the couple and spin a wheel to decide what to do with them. Since it lands on a spade, Nina and Mark get thrown in cages and taken to the gamblers' headquarters in a motel. The place is a complete mess and people are drinking or fighting in every corner. The receptionist takes their names and realizes they are married, so he sends them to the Snake Eyes suite. There, a host starts taking bets while the couple gets one hand tied to the chairs and the other hand painfully drilled into a pair of weapons on a table. One round is loaded into each one to play Russian roulette and the host warns them that if they do not fire when he tells them to, 2 more rounds will be added. If they survive 6 rounds, they will be allowed to leave. Mark tells Nina to act without hesitation, but Nina negotiates with the host. She wants 3 more rounds in Mark's weapon and in exchange they only have to go through 2 rounds. The host agrees and after everything is loaded, the game begins. The gamblers count down and both weapons are fired, but nobody gets hurt. Unfortunately on the second round Nina's weapon fires the only round and it lands in Mark's shoulder. Wanda starts fighting another gambler over the bet money and the host gets distracted trying to calm things down. Nina keeps pulling at her bindings until she frees her hand and takes the host's weapon from his boot. She fires at the man twice before hitting the table to release their hands. As she helps Mark walk, Nina uses the weapon as a threat to keep everyone at bay and fires at the host again when he tries asking for help, finally taking him out. Wanda wants payback but nobody is armed in that room, so she tells the others to let the couple go for now. As soon as Mark and Nina are out, Wanda and the others run to get their weapons. The two of them try to find a working car and are spotted by snipers on the roof but before they can act, they are taken down by Betsy first. The couple drives away in a car as Wanda and the other gamblers come out with their weapons firing, but they do not land any hits. A frustrated Wanda strikes a fellow gambler before announcing they are going after Nina. A few hours later, Mark wakes up in Nina's childhood home in Milwaukee. The neighbors tell Nina that her father passed away from an illness and her mother chose to end it all to be with him, which they know thanks to a letter she left behind. After Nina reads the letter, she asks the neighbors how they managed to keep a peaceful life in the suburbs. They explain the gamblers sometimes try to invade, but they have set up a system of car barricades, take turns as snipers on the roofs, and there are devices hidden in a mailbox connected to some barbed wire. While looking at all the traps Nina is happy to bump into Phil, an old friend of her family. In the meantime Betsy also arrives and hides in the house across from Nina's, keeping an eye out for any enemies. Sometime later Nina notices Phil talking on a walkie-talkie and when she tries to get his attention, he runs back into his house. A suspicious Nina sneaks around to spy on him and discovers that Phil has been in contact with the gamblers, who will be arriving soon. At the same time she notices a little girl on the street, so she brings her into the house right before the gamblers show up. Then Nina gives Mark a weapon and tells him to protect the child while she goes out to handle things. The gamblers leave their cars and look around until suddenly Nina opens fire, taking out a few gang members. The group rushes to hide behind the car and fires back, forcing Nina to take cover. Betsy takes the chance to open fire too, taking out a bunch of gamblers in quick succession thanks to her rapid-fire weapon. With the gang turning to attack her instead, Nina tries to take a moment to reload. A gambler approaches her from behind but before he can act, Mark takes him out through the window. Wanda refuses to give up and wants to keep fighting, so the neighbor on guard duty starts firing from the roof as well. Betsy runs out of rounds and has to hide while Nina throws a homemade smoke device into the middle of the street. Inside the house a gang member surprises Mark from behind and starts choking him. Mark breaks the horn from the man's mask and strikes him in the eye before tackling him down to strike him in the chest, making sure the hit counts this time. Meanwhile, Nina continues to fight and Betsy discovers she has been wounded. At that moment the plowboys arrive looking for Betsy to get back at Jim, but they get stuck in a firefight against the gamblers. The gangs keep firing at each other while the plowboys' truck easily destroys the car barricade. Nina uses the chance to activate the barbed wire, and as soon as the truck touches it, a big blast brings it down. The neighbor guard comes down and takes out the last gambler, only to be quickly taken down by Wanda. Inside the house, Betsy approaches Mark and gives him back Nina's wedding ring. At that moment Wanda comes in and takes Betsy down with a hit to the head. She gets ready to take Mark out too, but Nina shows up and brings her down first. Now that all the gang members are gone, Nina goes to Phil's house to deal with him too, but he has already been taken out. After confirming Phil has a gang tattoo, she sees her father's favorite weapon on the table and takes it back. On her way out, Nina sees the child staring in a creepy way at Phil's house, making her wonder if she had something to do with it since there were rumors of a gang formed by children. Afterward, Nina gives Mark her father's weapon and in return he puts the wedding ring back on her finger. Once they have recovered from their wounds, the couple goes back to the road to take on gang members and protect other domestics. The radio host warns his listeners not to mess with them. In a world torn apart by chaos, one couple risks everything just to find family and stay alive. Mark and Nina face deadly gangs, dangerous strangers, and life-changing moments at every turn. From dark cabins to motel death games, their love is tested in ways most people could never imagine. Through all the pain, betrayal, and close calls, these two refuse to give up on each other. By the end, they are not just surviving anymore, they are fighting to protect everyone around them. This is one of those stories that reminds you how far love and courage can truly take you. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. This story was wild from start to finish and we hope you enjoyed every moment of it. If you did, please hit that like button right now, it really helps us out more than you know. And if you are not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a recap like this one. We will see you in the next one, take care and stay safe. Bell thumbs up.